So hello everyone, my name is Andrew Nguyen. I'm the Product Marketing Manager for Visualization Products here at OSIsoft. Alongside me is Ryan McErlean, who is the Technical Product Manager for PiVision. And in this talk, we'll be going over PiVision 2019. Now this talk's going to be broken into 4 parts. We're going to talk about first, what is PiVision? We're going to try to understand what were some market changes as well as technological changes over the past few years that caused us to create PiVision and how it benefits your organization as a whole. Then we're going to talk about PiVision roadmap, what's coming out with PiVision next, some new exciting things. And lastly, Ryan's going to go over ProcessBook migration as well as Hoc Trending, 2 new and exciting things coming out with PiVision 2019. So to start, what is PiVision? So to understand what PiVision is, I think we need to first take a step back and really understand the evolving world of data. Now, over the past 5 to 10 years, we've been seeing new technology pop up. We'll start over at the edge, right? There's these new smart devices, new smart sensors. We call them plug-and-play devices, right? They're cheap, they're accessible, and they're bringing in new data that you haven't been able to connect to in the past. So it brings on new capabilities and new types of data. On the other side, we have cloud technology that's dealing with machine learning, training algorithms, right? There's studies out there that say there's over 450 cloud vendors and providers to date. Right, so what it shows is that there's a lot of big companies investing in this type of technology. So with training algorithms, machine learning, you bring that data back into your Pi system, and then now you see another influx of data that's there's growth there. Right, and I recently read another study that said by the year 2025, there's going to be 175 zettabytes worth of data. Now, a zettabyte, if you don't know what that is, take the number 175 and add 21 zeros to it. Now that's 175 zettabytes worth of data floating around the world by 2025. Now, needless to say, that doesn't mean your organization will be dealing with this astronomical amount of data, right? But what it does show is that there's an exponential growth in data that's coming out by 2025 and further on that may impact your organization. So the way that you ingress the data, handle the data, view and share that data needs to be done differently. And that is precisely why we created PiVision. So PiVision is OSIsoft's flagship data visualization tool that enables you to view your critical operations data in real time. It's the fastest and easiest way for you to view your Pi system data. So if there's 3 things that I want you to remember from this slide, it's that PiVision is an easy-to-use, self-service, and scalable solution. And we'll get into that in a little bit. We'll get more into that in a little bit. Now, you can access data from any web browser or any mobile device because this is a web-based solution. And furthermore, you can organize and share these displays across your organization with a simple copy and paste of a URL. So copy and paste that URL, send it to a colleague, and they can immediately see what you're seeing on the same screen. Now, those 3 things that I asked you to remember, easy to use, self-service, and scalable. Now, what makes PiVision easy to use? Well, with an intuitive interface, dynamic displays that lends to easy display navigation, we see a lot of benefits there. If you're an operator or an engineer, within minutes, you can begin building displays and see the data that you need. And we hear from customers that say all the time, within 15 to 30 minutes, their first time playing with the tool, they can begin building out these displays and see the data and insights into their assets that they haven't seen before. TransCanada gave a great presentation at our Pi World San Francisco event this year. Over the course of 3 months over the summer, they brought in an intern with no operations experience, no Pi system experience, no PiVision experience. They built out thousands of displays for their organization, and they began getting that ROI, the return on investment, within 1 summer. So if you haven't seen that presentation, I urge you to go see that. It's a great one given this past year. Now, if you're a plant manager, right? Imagine bringing people onto your team, people leaving your team. We understand training new software, change management isn't easy, right? But because PiVision is easy to use, you can easily shorten that learning curve for new people for your team. Now, self-service. There's quick access to data, fast display building with mobile capabilities, right? So how do you benefit from this? Well, again, as an operator or an engineer, you can begin finding the data that you need without the dependency of other business groups like IT. Right? When we're talking about critical operations, minutes matter. Right? So there's no time to wait on IT request tickets and waiting on those requests to hear back and gain data access from IT. As an operator and engineer, you can build those displays for yourself and begin getting insights. As a plant manager, you can optimize the performance of your team. Right? Not every team has all the resources in the world. We understand that. But with PiVision, you can optimize the efficiency of how your team performs. And lastly, we begin to see the benefit for IT as well. Because it's self-service, this is opposing to the operator and engineer, where now IT does not have to dedicate resources to give data access and help out the operator and engineer. They can spend their time doing what they need. And lastly, I mentioned Scalable. You can reduce the number of displays using related assets. Right? It's easier to organize your displays, and you can rapidly roll out your deployment and your new projects. So here, this is a major benefit for IT. Right? So for IT moving forward, you can easily manage, maintain, and upgrade this solution. So you can reduce the time it takes to roll out new projects. So let's say your organization brings on a new plant. You can easily and quickly roll this solution out to that plant. And moving forward for upgrades, right? There's no need to push out updates to every single client machine. You upgrade one server, and whoever's hitting that server will automatically see that update. So it's a much, much easier way to do that. Now, in this step, upper management and executives begin to see benefits as well. So of course, they're not looking at the same type of data that operations and engineers are looking at, not in that type of detail. But with PiVision, you can roll up displays and build displays at a higher level with key performance indicators that matter to upper management executives. So at a glance, they can look at that one display and see the health of all their plants without having to deal with stand-up meetings and having long conversations with middle management as well as any IT. They can quickly and easily see how their organization is performing. So what we find is that PiVision becomes a visualization tool that benefits the entire organization, from operator and engineers to plant managers, IT, as well as upper management executives. Everyone begins to see these benefits. But to get to this point, PiVision has been a journey. Right? In 2016, we improved process monitoring with a new display editor that makes it HTML5 compatible. So therefore, any modern day browser can view this. And in 2016 R2, that version, we improved the event analysis. So event searches and trend configurations, it's much easier for you to cross-compare events. With 2017, we improved asset dashboarding. We introduced collections with drill-in navigation. So with collections, this is great, where you have new assets that come online. Your displays will automatically populate with those assets. There's no need to go back and re-edit your displays. So you're saving a lot of time there. And with our most recent version, 2017 R2, we improved display organization with display folders and related assets, as well as XY plots and event tables, and a few other items. Now that brings us to PiVision 2019. Now with PiVision 2019, we're introducing a few new and exciting things. First, I'll start with ProcessBook migration. Over the past 5, 10, 15, 20 years, we understand a lot of our customers have been using ProcessBook, and there's been a lot of investment and time and money that's been spent there. But with our ProcessBook migration tool, we're hoping to take that investment that you've put into that tool and bring it into the latest and greatest tool that we offer, which is PiVision. Now, this tool is going to be able to select, analyze, and migrate your ProcessBook displays for you and turn them into native PiVision displays. So there's no need to go back and manually do each one by one. And Ryan's going to give a demo of this in a little bit. Now, our second feature, Hoc Trending. This has been a big request over the past couple years, but we're introducing Hoc Trending with PiVision 2019. So you're going to be able to select data items from any display and or search and send it to what we're calling the ad hoc workspace. And all these data items are going to be automatically trended together for you to begin your root cause analysis. Now, let's say you need to add more items to that ad hoc workspace. You can quickly and easily back out of that, select more data items, and send it to that workspace again, where it will automatically be added to that trend for you to continue your research. And then lastly, you can save that ad hoc workspace and send it to a colleague so they can pick up where you left off. So what we're seeing is that PiVision is becoming a seamless problem-solving workflow. Then lastly, we're also streamlining security for XY plots and event tables to make those symbols a lot easier to set up. Now with that, I'd like to bring up Ryan to go over the PiVision roadmap.
Thanks, Andrew. let's take a look at the roadmap for PiVision. So you'll see the same roadmap format presented across the conference this week. You might have already seen it earlier today. So just a quick overview of our roadmap. It's broken up into 3 sections, as you'll see: developing now, considering next, and researching future. So the features that we're currently working on, we have development resources actively engaged in. The items that we're we're considering next. So the items that are currently prioritized, what we think we're going to work on next, but we're still looking on feedback to validate, make sure we're headed in the right direction. And then the items that we're researching. So these are topics that we're trying to learn more about, actively trying to engage with our customers to see if this is the right direction where we should head. During the keynote, Greg mentioned that our roadmap has 3 different themes. So you'll notice that the items are color-coded. Blue corresponds to manageable system. So one of our major goals and our themes for development is to make sure that the system that we're building is manageable and is becoming more manageable and easier to maintain. The yellow corresponds to seamless infrastructure. So during the keynote, you might have seen the slide that takes us from the edge all the way to the cloud and everything in between. So ensuring that it's a seamless infrastructure across everything. And then green corresponds to increased scope and value of data. So as far as PiVision is concerned, let's start with what we're developing now. So as Andrew already mentioned, we're currently working on PiVision 2019. This includes the ad hoc trending feature and the ProcessBook migration. We'll get into demos and into this in more detail in just a little bit. So after PiVision 2019, we're considering a number of different items. So you'll notice here we have ad hoc calculations, so enabling client-side calculations within PiVision to help with the need for data analysis. Support for multiple time ranges on displays. This is something that we've heard from many of our customers. Collaborative display editing. So currently in PiVision, only the owner of a display has editing capabilities for that display. So this functionality that we're considering would allow you to share edit access so that multiple users can edit the display. Offline display management, another request that we hear a lot. Being able to take your displays offline, manage them, control them, do version control. There's a lot of power to be gained there if you can manage your displays offline. And then additional support for PiProcessBook migration. So in PiVision 2019, we will be releasing a migration utility that will allow customers to start migrating their displays to PiVision. So we're looking at additional ways that we can support our customers that are migrating from ProcessBook. What new features do we need to add? What new capabilities? But the key is the first component that's being released with PiVision 2019, that utility that we'll be showing off in just a moment. When it comes to the future, we're looking at a few different topics. So we're researching support for new authentication mechanisms, as well as streamlined deployment. So ways to make the application even easier to deploy and maintain. So you'll hear a lot of references throughout the week to our feedback site. It's in the upper right-hand corner there, feedback.osisoft.com. We're relying on your feedback to know what to build next, what you'd like to see in the product. This roadmap is very much subject to change based on your input. So please visit the feedback site. Please talk to us while we're here at the conference. And that feedback site is our system of record. So it's important that we get your feedback in there so that we can look at it and make sure that we're heading in the right direction. So now let's take a closer look at migrating displays from ProcessBook to PiVision. As Andrew mentioned earlier, we know that many of our customers have invested in building monitoring displays in ProcessBook for some of you for decades, really. So with PiVision 2019, we're enabling customers to move forward with us by migrating displays from PiProcessBook to PiVision. So on the screen here, you can see this is one of our displays that we use for monitoring our headquarters building that was mentioned in the keynote today. It's a display that references our cooling system. And so Here you can see the display, what it looks like in ProcessBook, and then what it looks like once it's been converted to PiVision. But rather than do it on a slide, let's see how we can actually migrate this display. Excuse me while I just readjust the windows. So this is the PiProcessBook migration utility that will be released alongside of PiVision 2019. So before we begin, the first thing I want to do is show you my PiVision website, just so we can look at the end and see, hopefully you'll believe me, that these displays are actually getting migrated live in real time. So here is my PiVision site. I will refresh just to make sure that we're seeing the latest. There's currently nothing in the home folder. I have a folder with some displays called monitoring displays, but what we're going to do is I'm going to take an entire folder of ProcessBook displays and migrate them over to PiVision, take a look, and compare them between ProcessBook. So this is our utility. It's broken up into two different sections. On the left-hand side is the Files and Folders pane. So this is what you'll use to choose which displays and which folders of displays you'd like to first analyze for migration. On the right-hand side, you will view your analysis results. So you can see what within those displays can be migrated, what cannot be migrated, and you can make a decision of what you'd like to migrate at this point in time. And then afterwards, you can step forward with the actual migration of the files. So I'm going to go in here and, not a file, but select an entire folder of displays. So I have a folder here called ProcessBook Displays. So the folder is now loaded into the utility. If I expand the folder, I can see this folder, it's a folder tree, it's a hierarchy. So it contains two subfolders that each contain displays. So based on the folder I selected, what the utility is doing is taking a look at all of the displays contained within the underlying folders in that hierarchy. And it's not cooperating because we have a live demo. Seems like we are frozen. It might be the whole session, actually. Yep. Excuse me for just a moment. All right. So it appears that my session did take the click to try to close the utility. So let me just get set up here again. All right. Just trying to get enough space so that we can see everything that's going on. All right. So quickly add back in that folder. Now we can expand to see the displays. So the left-hand side of the utility lets me know that we have 19 displays contained within this folder hierarchy. So I know that these are displays that I'm considering migrating. So what I want to do is analyze these for migration and take a look at those results. So I will select all of these files and then move forward with running the analysis. So the analysis is going to read the files, it's going to parse the files, and come back with analysis results. It's taking a look at everything contained, every component contained within the displays, and it will let us know what is compatible with PiVision at this point in time. So our analysis has been completed. So there are two tabs, two different views for the analysis results. There's the Summary tab and the Tree View tab. We will start with Summary. So the Summary view is broken up into categories. The first category is can be fully migrated. What this means is that every display contained in this category, every component within each of those displays can be migrated to PiVision. So ProcessBook and PiVision are two very different applications. They were built many years apart. So this does not mean that your ProcessBook display is going to be migrated to PiVision and look perfect. We are trying very hard. We've put a lot of work into preserving the relative size and relative positioning of all the ProcessBook displays. So in many cases, you'll notice that they look quite good. And that if that's the case, then we've done a pretty good job. However, there are different formatting options, there are different capabilities, there are different technologies involved. And so the green check mark doesn't mean they're going to be perfect, but it means that we can move everything over and just know that we're doing our best to preserve that size and positioning so they look as close as possible. The second section here is can be partially migrated. What this means is that we found some components in these displays that at this point in time cannot be migrated to PiVision. And so in this view of the utility, what we have icons that indicate what component it was that we know cannot be migrated. Some examples of these that we're showing right now are the SQC symbol. There's no SQC equivalent in PiVision today. So this doesn't mean the display can't be migrated. The display absolutely can be migrated. It's just that these components will not be migrated as part of that display migration. Other components, VBA. So there's just no way to translate the VBA technology into something that's compatible with PiVision. So VBA will not be moved forward. And currently, we do not support calculations in PiVision. So any data sets that you have will not be moved forward at this point in time. So that's just a few examples of the components that cannot be migrated. Again, it doesn't mean that the display can't be migrated. It just means that those components won't come forward. So the next step, I'd like to go ahead and just see how all these displays look in PiVision. So I'm going to select all of them and move forward with the migration process. So this is our migration settings dialog. What you need to do is enter in the URL of your PiVision server. It will remember the URL. So I've used the utility before. It remembered the URL and automatically connected. Next, you can choose the destination folder in PiVision where you want these displays to be housed in PiVision. Target display owner, who should be the owner of these displays. Next is who should the displays be shared with. And then this option down here is about preserving the folder structure. So if you remember, I chose a top-level folder when I was analyzing the displays. If I choose this option, it will create that same folder structure in PiVision. That way I can maintain the organizational structure of these files once they're migrated over to PiVision. So with that, we'll go ahead and say OK, and we will begin migrating these files over to PiVision. I forgot to show you the tree view, but once the migration is completed, we'll dive in and show you what the tree view looks like and what information you can see there. So again, the migration utility is doing some pre-processing of the files, and then it will begin writing them over to PiVision using the URL that you provided. So the migration is complete. Showing off the tree view. So the tree view is just showing you a view of the displays similar to how they are on the left-hand side. So instead of grouping them by the analysis category, what it's doing is grouping them by the folders or how they're actually organized on the machine. So here you can see the folders. You can see the status is just in a column here, and you can also see the migration status. So this indicates that each of these displays was migrated successfully to PiVision. But we won't take the utility's word for it. We'll go check our PiVision server and see how it looks. So you'll notice we now have a new folder here called ProcessBook Displays. If I dive into this folder, It has two subfolders, similar to the folder hierarchy the ProcessBook displays were in. If I look at the first folder, process monitoring, you can see there are 16 displays here that have been migrated. If you remember, the migration utility told us that we were migrating 19 displays. So the other 3 are over in this folder for the SLTC building. Let's just take a quick look at the displays, see how they came over, see how they've been migrated. So open up ProcessBook. This is a display that you might recognize from the keynote. Chris was using this display in PiVision. So here is the original ProcessBook display, what that looks like. And then if we come over and pop that open in PiVision. So as you can see, this is one of the that where all of the components could be migrated over, and it looks pretty good. We'll do one more example. So another display. So this is showing our cooling unit, and it's showing a bunch of data that corresponds to the cooling unit. And we're going to actually make more use of this display later on in the presentation today. But let's just see how it looks. Cool. And there it is. Cool. So that is the ProcessBook migration. We'll be talking about ProcessBook migration a lot during the conference this week. Come by the booth if you'd like to see more, if you'd like to ask some more questions, or Andrew and I will be up here at the end of the presentation. But for now, let's jump back into the next topic. So, as Andrew mentioned earlier, the other major feature in the PiVision 2019 release is ad hoc trending. So the new ad hoc trending capabilities allow you to dive into a real-time investigation of your operations and quickly discover insights. So Andrew alluded to an ad hoc workspace. In this workspace, you can select data from across displays, add them to the workspace, analyze data, and identify the root cause of issues. So with ad hoc trending, the focus is on the data itself and not on the configuration. So we've optimized the ad hoc workspace so you can quickly pull in the data you need and get answers without having to spend time in configuration. So rather than spend more time explaining it, let's take a look at what this actually looks like in the product. Provided the live demo cooperates with us this time. Cool. So this is the display that we were just looking at. Right. And so earlier today in the keynote, Chris demonstrated some of the ad hoc training capabilities. I'm going to take a little bit further today and show you a little bit more. So as I mentioned earlier, this is a display of our cooling system for our headquarters building in San Leandro, California, over in the US. So let's say that I come in Monday morning and I get asked to look into an issue, investigate an issue that occurred over the weekend. So what I want to do is, I know that there's something going on with the cooling system. I don't have much more to go on, so let's just start the investigation from scratch. So first thing I'm going to do is, I want to look at the outdoor air temperature, the discharge air temperature. This is the temperature leaving the system, as well as the outdoor temperature. What does the temperature outside look like during the time that this issue was reported? So all I did here was I held the control key and I just clicked all 3 of these items. Now in the upper right-hand corner, I'm going to use this button, this new button, to add these items to our ad hoc trending workspace. One moment. Sorry, I was playing around earlier and I had some more information in there that I wanted right now. Cool. So what that does is it adds these 3 items into the trend, and it's using the time range of the display. So the display was configured for 8 hours. Now this is looking at 8 hours worth of data. So if you remember, my colleague mentioned over the weekend. So let's quickly zoom out and increase the time range here. Now, if you remember, I'm looking at 3 different temperature readings. So with a single click, I'm going to change this from a multiple scale trend to a single scale trend. Since everything is temperature, everything here is in degrees Fahrenheit, now they're all compared on the same scale. Let's take a closer look at exactly what this data is and what it looks like over this period of time. So the first item here in blue, this is the outdoor air temperature. You can see it rises as the temperature rises throughout the day, and then it falls as the temperature gets lower in the morning and in the evening. The orange is the discharge air temperature leaving the system. So again, I zoomed out so I could see a full week's worth of data. So in the beginning of the trend, I see early in the week, and then this area around here, this is the weekend. This is Saturday and Sunday. So I can already see as the week went on, and once we get to the weekend, things are definitely different. So we're going to take a closer look at that. Lastly is the indoor temperature. So what does the temperature inside the building look like? Again, we can see there's a particular temperature profile and pattern early in the week. Over the weekend, looks a little bit different. So now I've already gotten some insights out of these 3 items. What I want to do is quickly go back to my display and pull in more data. So I will minimize the ad hoc trend, and then I will select the cooling load from the display. So this is an item that I already have on this display. I just want to quickly pull in to compare with the other data. So this is just one example. You can also pull in data from search, from other displays, as Chris did this morning. For this example, I'm just going to quickly pull in this item. So if I select that and click the ad hoc trend button again, I now have a trend that includes 4 items. So I have the 3 items from before and the 4th item I've just added. It's starting to get a little bit busy here, so let's make a few quick tweaks. So with a single click, I can change this back to multiple scales. So I have 3 temperatures on here, as well as my cooling capacity. So since they're different units, I want to see them on their own scale now. Another thing I can do to simplify this a little bit is let's go ahead and zoom in on the information that we are concerned with. Right, so rather than look at a whole week, let's take a look at Friday, see what Friday looked like, and then compare that to Saturday and Sunday. What's different over the weekend? Since I do still have 3 temperatures here, if I want to quickly put them on the same scale, I have the ability to do that. So you'll notice there are input fields down here at the bottom. What I can do is I can manually set the scales if I want to normalize that data. If there's too much information on the screen, I have the option to either hide or remove traces. I think the orange trace, the discharge air temperature, was the most useful. So let's take a look at that one right now. And again, so the newly added information is here in blue. This is our cooling capacity status. So if we take a look at Friday, what happened on Friday? It looks like around Friday at, hard to read from here, I think it's around 5 a.m. This is when our cooling system was engaged. Cooling system came on during midday. That's when it was really, really cranking. And then it shut off around 6 p.m. So that was Friday. On Saturday, 6 a.m. the system comes online. Right around noon, this is Pacific time, the cooling system shuts off. And if we look here, we have a rather large gap. All the way over to here, the system comes online a little bit, but not for very long. And then it doesn't really fully come back online until Monday morning. So it's clear that there was something, the cooling system wasn't acting as expected over the weekend. So at this point in time, this is as far as I can take the issue. I need to send this over to a colleague who can continue and move further along. So what we're going to do is click the share button, copy this link, and I can just paste that into an email, send it over, and they can pick up the investigation right where I left off. Cool. And that is the ad hoc trending feature. Let's see if I can get back to the slides. All right, so let's quickly reflect on the items that we've covered today. So Andrew told us about how PiVision is an easy-to-use, self-service, scalable solution for data visualization. PiVision can help you become more efficient and optimize your process. Andrew also discussed the different benefits of PiVision and how they exceed just the end user, and they really extend to the entire organization. We also covered and we focused on PiVision 2019 and the new features and the value that they can add to your system and to your operation. So PiVision 2019 really is the next step for data visualization here at OSIsoft. And PiVision 2019 adds this key new functionality. So if you're interested in learning more about PiVision 2019, if you want to learn more about migrating ProcessBook displays, more about ad hoc trending, or just about PiVision in general, please stop by the visualization booth. It's really not far away. It's just through that door. So please come and talk to us. We have a lot of really great people there that can help answer your questions. We also have a few other sessions that I'd like to highlight. Tomorrow is a presentation from Petronas about how they're using the Pi system and PiVision to identify potential failures and improve reliability. So that is tomorrow afternoon at 5 p.m. Also tomorrow, SBM Offshore will be presenting on their digital journey and the role that PiVision has played in that. So that will be tomorrow morning at 10:15 a.m. We also have 2 hands-on labs I'd like to highlight. The first is PiVision Beyond the Basics. So in that lab, we will cover things like ProcessBook migration, we will cover the ad hoc trending, as well as a number of other options. And you'll get to get your hands on the product and actually use it and use these new features. There's also a Managing Time Series Data Quality Lab. That's offered actually tomorrow at 9 a.m. I believe there are still a few slots available for these labs if you're interested. Another topic I'd like to bring up. So earlier I mentioned our feedback site. Our feedback site is great for general feature requests, the things that you'd like to see. You can see your feature requests. You can vote for others. We're also looking to capture some specific feedback around your use and adoption of PiVision. So here we have, it's just a few short, simple questions. It should take less than 5 minutes to complete. If you don't mind, please, you can use the QR code, you can use the URL. We'll also have this link available at the Expo booth. So if you don't have a chance to write down that long URL or take a picture of it right now, we'll have it available for you. You're going to hear this a lot this week, but our feedback site really is important to us. We review this feedback daily. You may not see us being active all the time, but we're really trying to do a better job and make sure that you know that you're being heard. But I do review this feedback every single day, everything that comes in, and we do use this to shape the roadmap. So please take the time to let us know what you think of the product, what you'd like to see, any of your feature enhancements. Here's the contact information for Andrew, for myself, and for Amit. Amit is another product manager for PiVision. If you see any of us around the conference, please stop us, ask us your questions, and let us know what you think. All right, we are running very short on time. So Andrew, Amit, and I will be hanging out up here after the presentation for a few minutes, and then if we get kicked out of the room, we will go over to the product booth to answer any questions you might have. But with that, thank you very much.